Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you one of the coolest tools that I've ever discovered, which is Guitar Pro. Guitar Pro is fantastic for listening to songs that you want to learn how to play, looping sections of songs that you want to learn to play, as well as composing and creating and doing more. Guitar Pro has a ton of features in it, and it has evolved over the years, and I run a lot of stuff off of it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is teach you about how to navigate Guitar Pro's interface, as things have changed over the years. Currently we're using Guitar Pro 8. However, you might watch this video, maybe Guitar Pro 9 or Guitar Pro 10 is out at this point, who knows. But great program, I'm going to show you how to use it today. So first things first, when you load up Guitar Pro, depending if you loaded a file up or if you just loaded the program up on its own, you'll usually be greeted by something like this, okay? So what's going to happen is for today's kind of lesson, I'm just going to show you how you navigate it, what you're going to do, and give you a couple quick, simple tips. So let's take a look at this first. I'm going to hit New File, which is right up over here, and I'm just going to hit BAM. When you do that, you are greeted with the option of what kind of instruments that you want to start importing and using within Guitar Pro. Let's see, what would be some fun ones? Let's use something like, I don't know, orchestra. So you can pick out your different types of instruments here first of all, right? So if you got stringed instruments, you got electric guitar, you got bass, and then if you go into others, if you got ukulele, banjo, mandolin, orchestra, full of wind instruments, bagpipes, piccolos, synths, synth sequencers, keyboards, harpsichords, accordions. Other, if you go into other, you can literally pull a singer up if you want to. Let's do that one. That sounds like fun. So I'm gonna select singer, and then from there's different types of ways that you can set as a default for notation. We're not going to mess with that right now because that's something I usually like to mess with once I'm in Guitar Pro. Upper staff, I'm going to show you all of this all in a minute or so because some of these things can get really complicated. So let's just hit create. Okay. Once you're done doing that, what's loaded into it now is just a bar, okay, of music. Now, if I go over here, I have this toggle option that says song, and I have an option that says track. I'm going to click on track for a minute. And what you can see here is, let me move myself around a little bit here, okay, is that singer is selected. You can see it over here. And if I choose to, I can go to my music staff, and I can just, I think I usually hit like a 0 or a 1 depending on what I want to do, and it will play that note. Now you'll notice nothing came out, right? Nothing played. And the reason for that is right now it's default as a rest. I'm going to select the rest option. Let's see here. Let's go back and do this again. I'm going to hit the letter, make sure my numpad's on. There we go. Letter, hit the number 1 here. Now it doesn't really matter where I play it. If you're not familiar with understanding a musical staff yet, it's okay. I'm going to show you how to fix that if your guitar is something you're more familiar with, okay? But I'm going to zoom in here for a second. Boom, make things a lot easier. And what I can do is I'm going to use my my up and down options on my keyboard, and I can move up and down on this, and I can go. This is how I'm just literally hitting the button on it. I don't think it really matters what I hit. I'll try 5. I'll hit 9. If I enter everything on one line, it's done as a chord. Now, I like to find ways to make my life simple. So I've kind of shown you how to input things. I want to get rid of these things now. So I'm going to use my mouse. I'm going to use the left button. I'm going to just highlight maybe this section by holding my button down. I'm going to hit delete. Now you'll notice it deletes the note, but it doesn't delete the bars. Okay? So if your intention was to maybe just work here and you wanted this, get rid of the bars. Okay? I'm going to highlight these bars again. I'm going to right click, and when I right click, other options will show up. I'm going to select bar. I'm going to select delete bar. Okay, so right click, option comes up, and select delete bar, and now that's gone. Okay. Before we get into changing how you can do something where you can see your interface a little bit different, more like a guitar tab, I just want to show you how to change note values. So you can do this two ways. I can select the note, there it is, and I can go over here, and if you're familiar with your different types of notes, I can go, and now it's an eighth note. If you highlight it and let it sit there for a minute, I'll tell you what they are, and then there you go. Now, what I want to point out that's also important, because sometimes this involves some music theory or understanding music, is that you're going to want to fill a bar with the amount of space that goes into the amount of beats that you're telling it to input. So right now, you'll see I'm in 4/4 timing. Okay, that means I need 4 beats. So if I want this to complete, I have to have 4 beats in there. If for some reason the bar does not do so, and I usually have to switch to another bar to show this, you'll notice it's red. See how it's red right now? It means I don't have 4 beats in there, which is fine. I can play this. And I'm going to just play this by going to the top, and I'm going to hit space bar. Right, but it's not complete. It doesn't have enough of the beats. One of the things I like about Guitar Pro is when you're learning music and you're learning rhythm, it's not going to, it's going to tell you what's off, all right? So check this out. I'm going to click back in this box, and then I'm going to look at this guy right here, okay? And right now he says 3.5 out of 4. That means that I have 3.5 beats currently inputted, and I need 4 to complete. I'm going to go over to this guy again. I'm going to change him to a quarter note. There's 4 beats, 4/4. And what's going to happen is it's going to go green, and that 4/4 is going to change. So let's get rid of half the beats for a minute. Highlight, delete. Only 2 out of 4 exist. So that's something important to remember, because when you're composing and you're doing ideas, that's one of the things that's important to complete. Otherwise, it's going to sound off because there's not enough notes within the bar. Okay. The next thing that I want to share with you is about changing your tempo. Okay. Changing your tempo can be done 2 ways. Tempos being how fast it goes, right? So let's, first of all, I'm going to hit Control Z to undo, just like I would do something else. I can also right click. So if I want to redo, meaning I want to redo my delete, I'm going to hit Control, Shift, hold them both down and hit Z. Okay, sorry. Control Z will, it will undo your last action, and Control Shift Z should redo your last action. Oh, I'm a liar. It's not working for me. So let's just ignore that for right now, okay? But I want to go back and I want to have a solid 4 beats for this explanation. So play it. Okay. Well, I want that to be faster. I want my singers to be really doing some stuff. So I can either double click the tempo piece here, right? I can have an idea in my brain. So this shows up with the tempo kind of settings here. And what I can do from here is I can choose what kind of tempo I want. Now, not everybody can be like, I want 168 beats per minute. It's, you know, not everybody's got that ability to have that concept. So instead, I can go right over here to this tap option, and I can think, I want my beat to be, and tap, 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 tap. I'm doing this with my mouse button. Now, it's funny because that's right around where we are. So we want to go faster, right? So we want, and remember, this is based upon quarter notes. This isn't a lesson on rhythm or understanding, but if I go back, I hit apply. I go back and I'm going to highlight my track. I don't have to highlight my track. I can actually just do it this way. Cool. Now, say I don't want it to repeat, okay? Then it's also an important thing to talk about as well when I'm mentioning this is that it's going to repeat the entire song. Right now, my song only consists of 4 bars. But what if it consisted of more bars? So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to just, to do an example, I'm going to hit copy. Okay, so I'm going to right click, highlight, copy, and then I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit paste. It's just literally going to paste the entire setup in. Now, I like to make things easy for myself. I like to learn shortcuts, just like you're using Microsoft Word or any other program. I'm using Windows, mind you, not Mac. All right, if I want to, I'm just hitting Control V, Control plus V will paste. So I can do that. Now, if I hit play on this, oh, sorry, hold on one moment for me. I hate when it does this, because it does this sometimes. It copied and pasted everything into one bar, so you can't fit that many items into a bar. So what I'm going to do is I like to use my directional pad to go left and right, and if I go over to the right, it opens up a new bar. So I'll hit to the right, Control V, hit to the right, Control V, hit to the right, Control V, and I'm only going to do 4 bars here. But if I play this, notice I have this guy up here set up. I'm going to hit this. There's nothing in there, so it's still going to play it though. I want to get rid of that, so I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to hit bar, I'm going to hit delete bar. Yeah, real fun there, right? Okay, so one of the things is, let's kind of change things up for a minute, right? Just make things just slightly more interesting. I'm going to select these 2 guys here. I'm going to turn them into 1/8 notes. Okay, I want to, instead of retyping something out, I can also right click it, copy, Control V, and there you go. Maybe I want to add some variation to this, so I'm going to copy all that. I'm going to highlight this area. I'm going to right click, I'm going to paste. And now I've got real beautiful there, right? Now, maybe I'm done with my singers for a minute, right? I don't like the way my singers are popping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this whole area. Actually, sorry, I don't actually have to do it that way. I'm going to just click the first beat. I'm going to go over to, I'm going to make sure, remember we have song and track. I'm going to select this guy here, and I can change my instrument at any time. So I can select electric piano, and now I got a little cooler, right? But maybe you don't know what sound you want. So I'm going to highlight all of it. I'm going to hit play. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to actually select the instruments. Maybe I want to use an organ. Accordion. Everybody loves an accordion knot. Oh, sorry. That's what I get for being a smarty pants. Keyboard, accordion. Channeling our inner Marios here. Cool, so, and then if I wanted to, I can select that. So I'm gonna hit pause, okay? I like to use spacebar when I'm doing pause. Okay, cool, having too much fun here. And there are things you can change, like if you want the sounds to have maybe, and this depends on the instrument, you can make some of these have a sound where it kind of goes out a little bit more into the beat, if I recall right. Let's see if this works with stringed. Got it. And there's all kinds of other things you can do. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not 100% a pro at every single thing Guitar Pro does, because it's a huge program that offers a lot of features. Just entering in abilities to change the way the notes sound in terms of, let's define this correct. If you can change up the way that each of these notes have some type of articulation or ornamenting. An example of ornamenting might be vibrato or accenting. Accenting is a good one because accenting usually means you play that note a little bit louder. So if I wanted to, say, accent my first beat, I could select this first little note right here. I could come down to this area, and these are all the different ways you can change. You got palm mute, you got vibrato, you got slaps, you got hammer-ons, you got pull-offs. One of the things I'm going to show you is we talked about accented, and then we got accented note, and we had heavily accented note. I kind of like the heavily accented note ones. I'm going to select that. Now, I'm going to, if I want to, and I wanted to say, let's just play it real quick. Now, I want to show you guys an example. This is a great time to do so, is how to loop a section. So if I wanted to just play this one section over and over again, okay, I could do so. And if I just highlight it and I hit play, I could do so. Again, space bar makes things easy. Say I wanted to highlight this note and I wanted to highlight this note, okay? If I hold the control button down, actually it doesn't work on this for some reason right now. It's letting me highlight between the two, so let's skip that piece, okay? But I could select it. I could go to accent, heavily accent again, and if I wanted to, now I'm heavily accenting my first and my third beat. So I want to be careful what I cover in this video because we're talking about navigating Guitar Pro right now and what to do. And I don't want to make this video too long. We're already at 17 minutes. So instead of getting into changing note values and all this other type of stuff, because right now we want to just talk about navigating Guitar Pro and how to move throughout Guitar Pro, let's talk about how to input things differently than what we're doing right now, because you might not understand the musical staff and what each letter is. You might want to use something more familiar with you. You can see a bunch of guitars in my room, so it's guitar for me. So what I can do is again, song and track gives you two different things, okay? Song is designed for entering titles, so my musical demo, okay, got it? If you want to make things look that way, and if you want to change up the text of the way all these things are, you can open up something called the style sheet, and then it lets you navigate the different parts when you open up the style sheet of the way your setup looks. We can dive deeper in here, but my suggestion is to just get your hands dirty and go a little crazy here. This is more like how you want the paper if you printed it. Like, do you want it landscape? Do you want it, portrait? You can do that. I can change this to landscape, and if I hit it, I hit apply it. Now if I printed this out, it would look as in landscape format. I'm going to select portrait though, because that's what I'm used to using. You can change how big everything is. So if I go here, this changes the global kind of portions. That's going to make everything you print out immensely bigger. And it's cool and all, but if you've got like already 14 sheets of something that you've pulled up online, that's going to make it like a lot more than what you want to deal with. So you want to find a balance between what you want to use in terms of sizing and what's smart, okay? I'm going to go back. I think one might have been 1.2 was the default, okay? So I'm going to go back to that. I feel it was the 1.5, so let's just go back to it for right now, okay? You can even go to systems and staves, and if you don't like the thickness, I'm somebody about ink. All right, so I don't want to drain all my ink because this is going to use a lot of it, right? It's going to take time, and the thicker the lines are, the longer it's also going to take your printer to print it. I can go right over here and I can make them lighter if I want to. Cool, right? And make them thicker. Okay, cool. So changing the header and footer, I can go in here. I can use a different font style if I want to. I like to use one for my own business to keep it that way, is Montserrat, so I can do all that. Text styles, there's ways that you can add notation to text of all the different lines. I'm not going to get into that on this, but if you wanted to, you could change the individual notation for each one of these things that you see. And then notation, you can change, like if you want when you create another line that you're seeing here, you can choose if you want it to say 4/4 every time. It gives you a lot of capabilities within Guitar Pro. There's just too much stuff to be able to try to cover. So I'm just going to go back out of here, and I'm going to go back to my original. I hit cancel, so nothing's saved. I'm going to go to track. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to enter in stuff using, enter in values using the guitar and its fret numbers instead, or a string. It doesn't have to be guitar. If I load up, I'll show you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go over here to notation, and I can toggle different options. Okay, so I can turn on the tablature notation, right? If I want, I can actually shut off the other one that I had on here and get rid of it entirely. I can leave both of them on. I can turn on something that's called slash notation. Some people like the way slash notation looks, so if you compare that against, here, I'll turn both of them on. You compare slash notation against standard notation. It sometimes can look a little better. Like, some people like the way that it looks. It's up to you. Again, this is all preferences, and you can change different portions of it within. They recently added another feature that I'm not really quite sure how it works. There's something called numbered notation. I don't know or quite understand what it is. I know they started adding something where you could color notes and do things. Not going to get into it because I don't quite understand how that works yet. Okay, so we're going to just turn on the bar of music one and leave that alone for right now. So if I knew, for an example, I wanted to play a note on the sixth string being the closest one to you. So this is, I would use my up and down key, and I would come down here. I could also select it. Okay, you're going to find eventually using Guitar Pro as you evolve that you're going to find ways to input your data quicker using the D-pad on your keyboard and numbers using the numpad as being faster. Let me demonstrate. First, I'm going to dump all this out for a minute. Okay, I'm simply going to say I'm going to play the first fret of the first string, the second fret of the fifth string, and I'm going to do the third fret of the string after that. So watch this. So selected the string that would be closest to me, the thickest string, and I'm just going to hit 1. Okay? And then I'm going to move my D-pad up. Now if I select 1 again, I would want to play, that would mean me playing both notes at the same time. Example, here, I'll do it next to each other. And let's set these back to quarter notes. Notice it does it to all of them at the same time. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hit up. I've got all my setup here, so it's 4 beats. I should be able to highlight this. So it's the aliens or monster or something that we're doing. Sounds kind of fun. Not gonna lie, that sounds kind of cool. Very spacey, but maybe I don't want the accordion, right? Again, going back in, synth. Let's do some lead. Kind of like that. It's pretty fun. All right. Now, maybe that's my first idea that I have going on, right? So I'm going to highlight all this, and I don't want to get rid of it. Maybe I want to put it into another section. I can paste it. Well, what if I want to do it backwards? What would happen if I did that backwards? This isn't a lesson on music, but let's have some fun. Okay, let's highlight both. Cool, right? So you can have a lot of fun just inputting and doing all kinds of things with this. I'm going to do the same thing I did before, where I'm going to accent the beats. I'm going to highlight that one. I'm going to hit heavily accent. I'm going to heavily accent the last beat on the other one. Actually, no. I'm going to highlight the accent on this one. So I Control Z to undo. Let's see what happens. Pretty cool, right? So maybe I want to add in another instrument. Whoa, you can do that? Yeah, dude, you can add a whole orchestra. I think the amount of instruments that you can max out on is based upon whatever resources your computer has. If you have a supercomputer, you can probably add in 90 to 300 people. I don't know what the limitation is. Now, things important. It's going to remember, first of all, what the default name that you selected is. So originally we had singer, and you'll still see it up over here. This is, again, song, track options, two different things. I'm just going to name this synth, or I'm going to name it lead melody, okay? And I'm going to hit off, and then what you're going to notice is at the bottom over here, it changes. I'm going to hit plus, okay? And now I can add another instrument. I'm not replacing the instrument. So I want to add in maybe some drums, okay? Now, I'm going to skip, I said drums, but adding drums in is like a whole other thing because notation for drums is different than notation for guitar, and it'll get a little complicated and might mix up this a little bit. So let's just add a bass in. Let's add an upright bass. Boom, boom, boom. All right, I'm gonna be able to select the type of bass that I've got. Maybe I've got a 7-string bass, maybe I have a 4-string bass. Let's just leave it at 4. It's in standard tuning, so I don't know if you know much, but when you are tuning instruments, you can tune them differently. That's where this comes in. And then you can select the sound that you want. I'm just selecting upright bass for right now, and you can even color it. So when you're working in your different areas of your menu, it'll notice there's like a green here right now. So when I'm looking at it, I can color it. I'm gonna actually make it more colors. I'm gonna select like show you how I did that. So we selected this guy here, more colors, and then it comes up. I want to make it like a brownish color, and then make it brown. Hit OK. Whoop, OK there, and then OK here, and bam, it is in here. Now I can select synth. I can select upright bass. I'm someone that when I'm composing or doing this type of setup, I like to see both things. So if I go to this upper right hand corner again, we got song and track, and I select this, will actually show me both instruments at the same time. So hold on a second, I fibbed at you. Undo that, back to this. I go over here and I select this guy. It will show me both instruments at the same time. So if I wanted to have the bass do something, I'm gonna hit 1. That's a very low signal, isn't it? Let's see if we can get something a little higher. 1, and if you guys know your mapping of a fretboard, the first string, if you've got, sorry, the 6th string, basically there's a diagonal pattern that lets you add in other setups. Now, you might not be able to remember that, right? Like I want to add a note in that's higher, and for me, I always think of going down a set of notes and up a set of notes. If you don't understand what I mean, doesn't matter. Check this out instead. I'm gonna go to window. Sorry, not window. I'm gonna go to, is it view? Yep, view. And I'm gonna go to show fretboard view. And I know I wanna add an E, but that's too low for me. And this will show up if you do it, okay? And I wanna add an E, I wanna add another E. Well, there's another E. That's a little bit better, okay? I wanna add that in for that, because I know that, oh, actually, sorry, I apologize. That was an F that we played, so it should be another F, okay? Just so you guys also know, I can click in this section, and it'll tell me the notes that I have set up on it. So I can know that it's an F and an A sharp. I can know that this is a B. I can know that this is an F. All right, so going back to this, there's my F. I know after that, and I want to hold that note. I want to play it throughout the whole measure, so I'm going to select whole note, and then I'm going to go over here to 4, and that is a B note. I'm going to go in this section over here, and I'm going to want to add a B in. Well, there's my B. Okay, I'm going to turn it into a whole note. Now I'm going to select all of it, and what will happen is it should play both. Let's see. Now maybe want my bass to be a little louder, right? Maybe my bass I want to be a little bit, so you can come down here and you can change things. So if I wanted, maybe I want my synth to be lower. You can also pan if you want something to be just on one side of left or right. So if I select that synth melody and maybe I want it to be on a different, it might not do it on the recording, but it should just only be coming out as the right side. It's only happening on the right side of my speaker right now, and on this side it's happening here. Cool? All right, so this is 30 minutes in, and you guys may have learned a lot. Maybe there's some parts that you already knew about Guitar Pro. Let me just take a quick glance and think to myself, is there something else that would be great to cover for you all during this? I would say, let's load up a song, okay? I would say loading up a song would be one, and actually, maybe you want a metronome. Actually, let's show you all that with a song. So if I want to load up a song, maybe I don't want to do composing. I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go Open, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a file. Now, I'm going to open up a recent one, so I don't have to go navigate and you guys don't have to sit and watch it. I'm going to use my buddy Chuck Berry as the results over here. Now, first of all, okay, this should be, so this is already composed. Things you're now looking at this screen should have a little bit more going on for them in terms of, like, you should be able to understand a little bit more about what's going on at the bottom. So if I select rhythm, it's going to switch between the different inputs that are done here, okay? If you say, heck, you know, man, I don't really care about the music notation, I just want to see the tabs, well, I can toggle that off. I can toggle which one I want to have on. So there's just a straight up tabs by using the corner over here. If I want to as well, and maybe I'm playing this song, so let's play it real quick. So I'm going to hit spacebar. Okay, so I'm going to let it keep playing. I also have to be careful what I let play because I've looked it up. This song's old enough that it's not copyrighted anymore, but there's a chance there's a snippet that kicks in this video will just be taken down, so I'm going to be careful what I'm doing here. But I want to show how I'm going to play this section, and all of a sudden this instrument's going to go away, and the other ones are going to fill in with the other parts. So watch. So I want to figure out what's going on, because like it's all blank, right? Well, it's the rhythm guitar. Alright, that's too much, because otherwise, again, it might not. And just to show you guys an idea, I mentioned to you guys about drums being different. Like, this is what the drums look like for it. So drums have their own thing that I'm not covering during this video. It's just too much. So I'm going to go back to this. So say you're wanting to play this song. You want to figure out this song. You're going to want to do something with it, okay? And maybe this is the part of the section that's getting to you. Such a great. Okay? So if you wanted to, and you wanted to, say you wanted to work on that one particular section, but it's just way too fast, dude. You can go here, this bar, and you can select this here. And what you can do is you can select a change of the percentage of the tempo without changing the tempo in the actual system. So if I select 60, I can go to 50. There's 25, a little too slow. But they always say it's best to go ahead and practice something at a slower tempo. I think if I get rid of this, it should still play. Yeah, so if I get rid of the loop option, I'll just stop playing after one, but you're gonna want your hands free to be able to play in whatever instrument that you're practicing. So I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna place it to 100%. Now, what I find that works really well for me when I'm practicing something like this is to go over to this, and there's a thing that says custom values on it. And when I select custom values, I can do that same thing where I can change the relative speed, and I can hit OK, and it'll do very similar to what we did before with 75 or whatever the number is. But what I like to use is something called progressive speed. You set it. Say you want to start at a low percentage like we did before, like a 25%. You know 100% is just way too fast for you for some reason. So I want to change it to working to try to get at least 75% of the speed of what Chuck's doing here. You can choose how much of a jump in percentage and speed that it does. So if I think, between 5 and 10% is good depending on the song. And then you can choose how many times. So if I select 5%, let's just do, for demo's sake, because you guys can change whatever, I'm going to change 20%. And I'm going to say that after every 2 times it's going to increase. So it's going to start at 33%, started at 30, okay? And then it's going to increase until it's at, let's leave solid numbers, 80%. Watch this. So I've set it, now I'm going to hit play, spacebar. That's 1 pass. Now second pass. Now it's gone up 20%. You can see the number here. Now it should maintain at this and not change because we set the max at 80%. Another feature that I want to show you about is that you can also, if you prefer using a metronome, because practicing with a metronome is nice, is you can go up to here and you can change certain features. So I'm going to show you the metronome first. You can also change how, so there's a little button here that's 3 dots. If I click that, you can change how loud that is. You can choose if you don't want the visual metronome piece. You can choose if you only want it to last for 2 bars. So if I select 2 bars, I stop it. It should stop the metronome now. It's not. It's probably an overall setting. So I'm not going to go crazy on this, but you can change setup. The last thing I want to mention to you is if you hit play, right, it just starts playing, right? Well, you need to and then probably grab your equipment. So what you can do is you can go to this guy, and what this guy will do is this will activate a count-in. It's set to 2 right now. And I'm almost willing to guarantee that's what I messed up. Ha! That's the count-in. So if I only want a 1 bar of count-in, now the only annoying thing about that is that as it loops, it's doing it each time. You might want that. You might want a mental break in between piece, but I think if you go in here, I can get rid of that. Yep, totally. So, in short, Guitar Pro has a lot of features. If there's something else that you'd like me to put out in a future video, I'm so happy to do so. Guitar Pro is probably one of the best things that in terms of software that I've spent money on. It really is a great program to practice fast passages or train your ear or do all kinds of stuff. And I haven't even tapped on, there's all kinds of extra features like chords you can input. Like I can go in here and I can add chords to it by hitting a button. You can create songs, full compositions. It's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a like, give it a comment, say that you really enjoyed it, and thanks so much for watching. Have a great one, guys.